And we're going to talk a little Knicks, Rob, because New York City is going crazy over this basketball team. And I get it. The Knicks have not had a lot of success this century. And now, finally, they've got a team. They've got a player in Jalen Brunson who is providing some excitement. And I'm not mad at the fans for being zealous about the Knicks. And, of course, last night, the Knicks, Rob, take a 1-0 lead over the Indiana Pacers. Great game, thrilling game. Unfortunately, there were a lot of questionable and bad calls and non-calls or missed calls, wrong calls.
Missed calls, yeah.
At the end of that game that a lot of people are talking about more so than the game. But I'll go over it. The NBA brought out its last 2-minute report today. And, Rob, the controversial pick that Miles Turner set on Dante DiVincenzo, and DiVincenzo will be getting an Oscar for, was for his flopping. The league said that was a good call. Now, by the letter of the law, Rob, maybe. But the bottom line is you never should. Like, in that point with 12 seconds left, game on the line, you don't call that. So there's that. And then, Rob, they also admitted this one was huge. There was the basket that the Knicks, basically the game-winning basket, was a three-pointer by Dante DiVincenzo, Rob. Before the pick, illegal screen by Miles Turner, the referees called a kicked ball. Jalen Brunson made a turnover and got the ball stolen from him.
And Chris, that was a breakaway dunk. You know what I mean?
You're right. It would have been a 3-on-1 for the Pacers. And so instead of being that, DiVincenzo hits a three. And so, and the unfortunate thing, Rob, and this is where sometimes these rules get on your nerves, they weren't able to challenge it because it was a kickball. I mean, I'm like, well, at the end of the whole goal of this thing is to get stuff right. So I would feel like, man, let them challenge it. But anyway, so that is, there were also 2 other calls that basically last 2-minute report said Miles Turner got away with that weren't called. So fouls and things like that. So it is what it is. But Rob, where you at on the Knicks? Obviously in control of this series so far. It's early. But where you at on the Knicks now? 1-0 on the Pacers.
The Knicks so far, Chris, in this run have been more lucky than they have been good. And I'm not. Wow. I'm just going by the numbers. Like in their 2 series, Chris, do you know the point differential in the 7 games that they've played? You know what it is?
It's like, don't
5
tell me. 5
points.
I was
I'm sorry.
Because it was 1 with Philly, and they won by 4 last night. Right.
5 points, Chris. Do you know, like the swing? And they got 2 huge calls, 3, for officials in games at Madison Square Garden. We know that for Philly, and what was that, game 2, Chris? The two missed calls.
Game 2, it was stated last night, that, they fouled Tyrese Maxey
twice, not even once.
On a steal that enabled them to, basically win. Now, I will say this, Rob. Remember, was a game 3 in Philly where the Knicks had it won and Maxey came back with the heroics, a 4-point play on a 3-pointer in which he was fouled, right, and then another 3-pointer. The last 2-minute report said he actually traveled on that play, Maxey. So that would not have counted. That probably cost Philly the game, or it would have cost Philly the game. And so that kind of evened out. I will look.
But I get that, and those happen. And you know me, I'm definitely
right.
I'm sports has a short menu guy. They've won the games, but all I'm saying is, it's with tape and ice pop sticks and glue or whatever it is. I just don't know, Chris, long term, if that's going to be enough to get you where you want to go. They're
not a championship team.
No, that's what. But people,
I think they're playing with house money. Now they got to beat Indiana. They do. If they don't beat Indiana, Rob, it will be a huge disappointment. But if they beat Indiana and then lose to
because they can
Boston,
feel like they took another step from last year, right?
yeah,
That's
and
the point.
they're not expected to beat Boston. So if this is to me not a championship team. So as long as they get by Indiana, then everything after that is gravy.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it's such a shoestring on everything that it could come apart.
But they're not that. Undone. That's because they're not that talented of a team, especially without Julius Randle. And I don't love his fit, so I'm not even saying they'd be much better with him right now.
But they might not be better. He's
him.
Another good player.
I don't know if they'd be doing better in this series. He hasn't been good in the playoffs. He would take the ball out of Brunson's hands. But he is a good player. I will give you that. And that's why I think he has trade value. I would trade him this summer if I can. If I can get something good for him. But, I'm going to disagree with you as far as they've been more lucky than good. They have gotten some calls, but again, it kind of evened out in the Sixers series. I think if you're saying, I think Philly is a better team. But Joel Embiid was not 100%. He was dealing with all types of injuries. I'm not even trying to give him an excuse.
Bell's palsy, Chris?
A migraine, Bell's palsy, the knee injury.
Wow.
So he was battling with a lot. I think healthy Philadelphia wins that series. But I think the Knicks, Rob, they play hard. They execute well. Tom Thibodeau, he's one of those coaches that gets the most out of kind of lesser talent, right? He can get the blood from a turnip, so to speak. Jalen Brunson is having a historic run, playing tremendously. And Rob, also, I think the Knicks are evidence of, because their top three players now in this postseason have been Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart. All guys that played at Villanova for multiple years. None of them were one and done. And Rob, they know, and I get it, people saying, well, they got that chemistry with each other. Yeah, that's true. But you're in a whole new system. You got a whole different coach. I don't think it's a huge factor for them. But I just think it shows the value of guys staying in school. None of these guys, were expected to come into the NBA and light it on fire. And what they showed you is that they stayed in school. They learned how to play. They became smarter players. And there's a value in that. And we see it a lot. Guys that weren't as talented, guys that weren't one and dones, but they know how to play. They play smart. They're more experienced. And a lot of times they end up being really good pros, sometimes better than the one and done guys. And DiVincenzo and Brunson, Rob, stayed 3 years at Villanova. Josh Hart stayed 4 years. And now you see them having this terrific run.
Yeah, I hear that. But can you win? I hear you, like sticking around and staying long and all that and playing well together. But I always looked at it like even the Tom Izzo and Michigan State. Like he had those kind of players, Chris. They went to Final Fours.
Well, Villanova won.
No. I'm just saying, but it doesn't. It's not an automatic recipe for winning, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about the pros.
Right. I'm just saying.
They did win championships. I think Brunson won 2 at Villanova, 2 NCAA championships. But I'm just saying that those guys, I think a lot of those guys. It's not not all of them.
No.
But they do get a lot of. They play well. A lot of them at the pro level. That's all I'm saying. Now, I don't think they can win it. I just don't think this team is good enough to win a championship. Unless 90% of the playoff superstars were hurt, So I don't see that, but it'll be interesting to see what they do, Rob, this offseason. Because in Brunson and some of these other guys, you got a nice building block. And this is a good time for people to kind of see the Garden and other players around the league to see, man, they really get behind their team. Like, you play well there, it must be an experience. You know what I mean?
No,
and so
no.
maybe
And
that's a
people,
recruiting
you know
thing for
that,
them.
Chris. We both covered basketball there, and people love basketball. And in New York, we talk about it all the time. And they've been starving. The franchise hasn't won anything since the 70s, since Moby Dick was a guppy, whatever you want to term you want to use. It's been a long time. And not that they hadn't have a couple chances, that they went in 99. Even that was a long time ago. We're talking about 25 years ago.
Right.
25 years ago. That's a generation. So people have a reason to be excited. There's just been so much bad. The ownership is bad. You know what I mean? They threw Charles Barkley, Charles Oakley out of the building. They've had like a lot of bad will. Superstars saying they have no interest in coming to play at Madison Square Garden and to play for Dolan, Chris. Like, there have been plenty of free agents available. Even the Kyrie Durant diss tells you a lot about where ownership and just the thinking of the Knicks was, for a long time.
Now,
because they came to New York, but they still didn't want to go there. You know what I mean?
Amari and Melo did push their way there, but so I think it's there's some that don't want to go there and others that did.